20-year-old sniper ambushed Idaho firefighters. Fed Chair Jerome Powell faces perjury accusations. And Netflix partners with NASA for live space streaming. And of course, today's trivia question, who built the first bicycle? It's Tuesday, July 1st. This is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Good morning and welcome to the Flyover Podcast. I'm your weekday host, Ayla Brown, and it's already July 1st. Can you believe it? This year is flying by faster than a long weekend, and somehow we're officially in the second half of 2025. Whether you're powering through a Tuesday or easing into a slower start, we've got the top stories to kick off your day. So let's take off. First, authorities have identified 20-year-old Wes Rowley as the sniper who killed two firefighters and injured a third during a wildfire response in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, on June 29th. Investigators say Rowley set the fire on Canfield Mountain to lure first responders, then opened fire with a high-powered rifle and possibly a shotgun. He was later found dead with a gun nearby, though it's unclear if he died by suicide or police fire. Chilling 911 audio of a firefighter's plea for help has been viewed thousands of times online. Rowley's grandfather told NBC he once wanted to be a firefighter, but court records show a troubled family history. The motive remains unclear, and the FBI is now involved in the investigation. Next, Fed Chair Jerome Powell is facing perjury accusations from Senators Tim Scott and Cynthia Lemons over his June 24th testimony about the Federal Reserve's $2.5 billion headquarters renovation. Powell told Congress there was no lavish features like marble or VIP dining, but 2021 documents show private elevators and vegetated terraces for pollinators. The renovation began in 2021 and is set to finish in 2028, but critics are slamming the cost, especially with inflation still sitting at 3.2%. And Netflix and NASA are teaming up to bring live space content to your screen starting in the summer of 2025. The new partnership will stream rocket launches, astronaut spacewalks, and views from the International Space Station, all at no extra cost to Netflix subscribers. NASA Plus will still be free on the agency's website and apps like Apple TV, where it currently reaches 2 million users a month. With Netflix's global reach of 300 million subscribers, the goal is to boost public interest in space. Does it interest you? Tell me in the comments section below. Here's what's happening in politics. The White House is urging Senate Republicans to, quote, stay tough as they push through a marathon round of votes known as a vote-a-rama on Trump's big, beautiful bill. The 940-page tax and spending package includes $4 trillion in tax cuts and $1.2 trillion in cuts to Medicaid and food stamps. The Congressional Budget Office estimates it would add $3.3 trillion to the national debt. House Speaker Mike Johnson is prepping for a Wednesday vote to meet President Trump's July 4th deadline, while Democrats like Senator Patty Murray are slamming the bill for potentially cutting health care for nearly 12 million Americans. Canada officially repealed its digital services tax on Sunday, just hours before the first payments were due. The 3% tax aims at tech giants like Google and Amazon. It was expected to bring in nearly 6 billion Canadian dollars by 2029, but President Trump called it discriminatory and suspended U.S. trade talks in response, threatening 25% tariffs on Canadian goods, which could have cost Canada $30 billion a year. The move marks a quick reversal for a policy that had just gone into effect in 2024. President Trump is set to visit Alligator Alcatraz today, a new $450 million ICE detention center built in Florida's Everglades. The 5,000-bed facility surrounded by alligators and pythons was constructed in just 30 to 60 days at Dade Collier Airport and supports President Trump's target of 3,000 deportations per day. He'll be joined by Governor Ron DeSantis and Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem for the opening. Environmental groups have already filed lawsuits claiming the site violates federal environmental laws, but DeSantis says it's built on pre-existing infrastructure. And lastly, the White House has accused Harvard University of violating civil rights laws by failing to address anti-Semitism on campus, and it's threatening to pull $2.2 billion in federal funding if changes are not made. The warning comes after Columbia faced a $400 million grant freeze and follows a 2025 Education Department report, citing Harvard's response to pro-Palestinian protests since 2023. Jewish students have reported discrimination, while Harvard says it's strengthened its anti-discrimination policies and disputes the findings. The university, where 25% of students are international and pay around $80,000 a year, is now under major pressure. We want to thank our sponsor, David Protein. Each bar packs 28 grams of protein, just 150 calories, and 0 sugar. Unlike most bars that are basically candy in disguise, David keeps it clean with high protein, low calorie, and no junk. Trying to hit your protein goals without wrecking your diet? Well, David makes it easy. No more squinting at nutrition labels or doing math in the grocery aisle. Just grab a David bar and go. Protein helps build muscle, protect your bones, and keep you strong, especially as we get older. And with multiple flavors to choose from, just best bet, try the variety pack. Buy 4 cartons and you're going to get the 5th free. Head to davidprotein.com or click on the link in the show notes below. All right, everyone, it's time for Podcast Extra. So here are some bonus stories just for listeners of the Flyover Podcast. President Trump is now regularly picking up reporters' calls on his personal cell phone, sometimes giving off-the-cuff quotes that end up in same-day news stories. On June 21st, the day of the Iran bombing, he spoke with at least 6 major outlets directly. Reporters say it's unprecedented access, but it's also left staff scrambling and raising concerns about public record-keeping. The move reflects President Trump's unfiltered style and his belief that staying constantly in the headlines works to his advantage. And Elon Musk is calling for a new political party after blasting President Trump's $5 trillion mega bill, now headed for a Senate vote. On Monday, Musk called the spending insane and accused Republicans of betraying fiscal conservatives, mocking the GOP as the, quote, porky pig party. Once President Trump's government efficiency chief, Musk says the bill undoes much of the budget-cutting work that he led. He even floated reviving his idea for the America Party, highlighting growing divisions on the right over the bill's record debt ceiling hike. And lastly, this is a very interesting concept. More families are raising their kids on vegan diets, but health experts are urging some caution. While vegan children may have lower cholesterol and inflammation, studies show they can also be shorter and have lower bone density if key nutrients like B12, iron, calcium, and omega-3s are missing. U.S. and U.K. health officials say a well-planned vegan diet can be safe for kids, but other European countries remain cautious. Doctors recommend using supplements, fortified foods, and regular medical check-ins to make sure that kids grow and develop properly. Yeah, I don't think that kind of diet would work in my house. My kids would not go for it. But that's your Podcast Extra Roundup. Thank you for watching. And of course, tune in tomorrow and every day for more exclusive stories just for you. Coming up, if you're a realtor, you might be blacklisted for not following this brand new rule. Find out what it is right after this. In finance, Home Depot just made a major move in the pro contractor market, announcing that its subsidiary SRS Distribution will acquire building products distributor GMS for $4.3 billion, or $5.5 billion, including debt. That's $110 per share, edging out a $5 billion hostile bid from billionaire Bragg Jacobs' firm QXO. The deal, expected to close by January of 2026, will expand SRS's reach to over 1,200 locations and 8,000 trucks. With DIY sales down 12% thanks to high mortgage rates, Home Depot is doubling down on pros, adding GMS's $5.6 billion in revenue to boost its $475 billion pro share market. And realtors, starting June 30th, Zillow will begin blacklisting real estate listings that aren't entered into a local MLS within one business day of public marketing. The move targets so-called pocket listings that skip MLS systems, roughly 20% of U.S. listings each year. It follows a 2024 settlement pushing for more transparency and fair commission practices. Agents who don't comply risk losing exposure to Zillow's 80 million monthly users. So if you're a realtor or maybe this story interests you, click on the show notes below for more information. And Dr. Bronner's is cutting ties with the B Corp certification, saying the program is losing credibility by letting big brands like Nespresso in. The soap maker, a B Corp since 2015, announced yesterday it's leaving the scheme, accusing it of enabling greenwashing and watering down standards. B Corp, run by nonprofit B Lab, certifies companies based on social and environmental impact, 8,000 globally, including 2,000 in the U.S. Dr. Bronner's pointed to Nespresso's 2023 certification dispute past labor issues in Guatemala as a key reason for the split. Now let's take a quick look at how the markets closed yesterday. Stocks closed higher across the board, capping off June with some solid gains. The Nasdaq rose 0.47%, the S&P 500 added 0.52%, and the Dow climbed 0.63%. Gold also saw a boost, up 1.26% to $3,315 an ounce, while Bitcoin dipped nearly 1% to around $107,400. One standout mover was Newegg, which surged over 34% after kicking off its early Fantas Tech sale ahead of the July 4th holiday. Here's some sports headlines. LeBron James is coming back for a record-breaking 23rd NBA season, exercising his $52.6 million player option with the Lakers for 2025 and 26. His agent, Rich Paul, says LeBron still wants to chase a championship, even as the Lakers look toward the future. Next, the NHL and NHLPA have finalized a new collective bargaining agreement, effective today and running through the 2031 to 2032 season. The updated CBA expands the regular season from 82 to 84 games and officially allows NHL players to return to the Olympics for the first time since 2014, starting with the 2026 Milan Cortina Games and continuing through 2030. The deal also includes a $92.5 million salary cap for next season, a 5% increase, plus enhanced player pensions and a continued 50-50 revenue split between players and owners. And speaking of basketball, NBA free agency kicked off June 29th at 6 p.m. Eastern, and teams wasted no time locking in deals. James Harden re-signed with the Clippers on a 2-year, $81.5 million deal. Julius Randle joined Minnesota for 3 years and $100 million. And Houston gave J.R. Smith Jr. a 5-year, $122 million extension. The Lakers' Dorian Finney-Smith opted out of his $15.4 million deal to test free agency. In a major trade, the Suns sent Kevin Durant to the Rockets for Jalen Green and draft picks. With the new CBA's $154.6 million salary cap and stricter second apron rules, 70% of contracts came in under $10 million. In the world of science and technology, I feel like there's always something fascinating happening right now. Like this, Apple is stepping into the smart glasses game with plans to launch its first pair in 2027. According to Bloomberg, the voice-controlled, AI-powered glasses will handle things like calls, music, and even environmental sensing, basically replacing your phone and earbuds in one sleek device. They'll run on Apple's custom Vision OS and a new chip from TSMC and are expected to cost around $500. While they won't offer full augmented reality just yet, they'll go head-to-head with Meta's Ray-Ban glasses. Analyst Ming-Chi Kuo says Apple's aiming for the glasses to hit 20% of AirPod sales by 2026. Would you buy something like this? Definitely let me know in the comments section below. I can't wait to read them. Next, an Oxford grad student just cracked a 70-year-old math problem. Benjamin Bedert solved a question posed by legendary mathematician Paul Erdős, showing that some free subsets where no two numbers add up to another in the group can be much larger than previously thought. His new proof pushes the upper bound from 33% to 45% of a set size. It builds on work from the 1900s and uses a mix of probabilistic methods and combinatorics. The result earned Bedert the $500 Erdős Prize. Congratulations to him, because I have no idea what that means. And next, Anchor Innovations just smashed Kickstarter records with its new UV printer, raising $44 million from 28,000 backers as of June 30th. The $1,500 Anchor Make UV lets users print texture designs on over 300 materials like metal and wood. And it's really fascinating. And by the way, if this interests you in any way, you can check out this printer in the show notes below. Would you buy one of these things? I would. I love doing crafts, so I feel like that would help me a lot. Still to come, the U.S. State Department issued a travel warning, and Gen Z women are taking bachelorette trips to the most unexpected places. Places where you can't even talk. I'll tell you where, coming right up. Today is Tuesday, so here's some Travel Tuesday news for you. A June report named Rhode Island the most chaotic state for driving, followed by Massachusetts and Hawaii. Now, I've personally never been to Hawaii, but I can claim that Rhode Island is really bad and Massachusetts is awful too. Why? Poor road conditions, heavy congestion, and high accident rates. Massachusetts tops congestion, making it the worst in the U.S., and Rhode Island has 41% of roads in poor condition, with 350 pothole complaints annually. But on the flip side, Montana was rated the calmest. The state had only 208 traffic fatalities and 10 pothole searches last year alone. Next, the U.S. State Department issued a rare worldwide caution on June 27th, citing rising tensions in Europe and the Middle East and Asia, urging Americans to reconsider travel to high-risk areas like Iran and Russia. Travelers are advised to enroll in STEP alerts and check advisories. And a New York family of 4 pulled off a round-the-world business-class trip for just $1,750 per person using credit card points. They spent 1.2 million points from Chase and Amex, plus transfer bonuses to airlines like Qatar Airways to cover a 21-day journey through Tokyo, Sydney, and Paris. Tools like Point.me and Seats.aero helped them book lie-flat seats, saving around $20,000 compared to typical fares. It took 18 months of planning and about $10,000 in card spending, according to the Points guy. But it sounds like it was a great trip. It's time for the etc. section of the Flyover Podcast. So here are some unexpected stories that don't fit anywhere else, but they're just too good to miss. The Dalai Lama, who turns 90 on July 6th, will open a 3-day Buddhist conference this week in India to outline his succession plan, directly challenging China's claim to control his reincarnation. Beijing insists it must approve the next Dalai Lama under historical rules, But he says his successor, possibly a boy or a girl, will be born outside of China, likely in India. The plan is backed by the Tibetan government in exile and could involve senior monks and oracles instead of China's golden urn selection process. A recent poll shows 80% of Tibetans in exile reject China's authority on the matter. Speaking of religion, more Gen Z women are trading party trips for peace and quiet, booking summer retreats at Catholic convents. Women ages 18 to 25 have increased monastery visits by 30% this year, with spots at convents in places like Ohio and California nearly 90% full. Many cite burnout and a search for meaning, with 60% saying retreats help their mental health. Nuns are leading sessions on mindfulness and prayer, echoing spiritual trends from the 1960s. Some, though, have criticized the $500 to $1,000 price tag as a limiting access. And filmmaker Casey Anderson spent 10 years capturing rare footage from a hidden motion-activated camera placed in a grizzly bear den near Yellowstone. The project, backed by $50,000 in grants and launched in 2015, recorded over 1,200 hours of wildlife behavior, including a grizzly nursing her cubs, plus appearances by mountain lions and coyotes. The footage has since racked up over 2 million views on YouTube. By the way, you can see some of that footage in the show notes below, just by clicking the link. Well, I am excited to give you the results of yesterday's poll question. What's your dream vintage car? 25% said other, 23% said Mustang, 21% said Corvette, 12% said Porsche 911, 11% said Chevy Bel Air, 8%, which is how I voted, and it was in last place, voted the VW Beetle. Now, before I got into the studio today, I was informed by the Flyover crew that yesterday's poll question had the most votes in Flyover history. So that tells me two things. First, I must thank you for voting. And second, that you guys love classic cars. But since you love to vote as well, here's the poll question for today. Where's your favorite place to spend a summer day? Is it on a beach with a breeze, lake on a float, porch with a book, rooftop with a drink, inside with glorious air conditioning, or other? You should vote in the show notes below. There's a link right there. And let's see if we can beat yesterday's record. I'm going to vote rooftop with a drink. I lived in Nashville for about 10 years, and there's nothing like a Nashville rooftop bar having a drink on a nice summer day. So that's how I'm going to vote right after today's podcast. Here's today's trivia. Who built the first bicycle? Well, the answer, the first real bicycle was built in 1817 by German inventor Carl Dries. It didn't have pedals, you just pushed it with your feet, but it had two wheels and it could steer, making it the starting point for the bikes that we all ride today. My 3-year-old is riding his bike almost every day, with the training wheels, of course, but he is so proud and he loves that thing so much. Anyways, happy July. Can't believe we're in July. Thank you for finding the Flyover Podcast. Thanks for sharing, liking, and commenting. We're really building something so special here, and we're so grateful that you're along for the ride. I'll see you tomorrow with more headlines. Thanks for flying with us.